As a student, have you ever received a writing assignment and when you were starting it, you just ended up staring at the blank page? I mean, you have some ideas, a potential topic to begin with, but the words just aren't coming to you? Have you felt frustration or despair at the idea the paper might be too complicated to complete or your ideas aren't good enough for the rubric has been assigned? If you have experienced these things, then you've experienced writer's block. Despite how frustrating and challenging writer's block is, there are steps you can take to overcome it. Writer's block can plague any writer from the novice to the experienced. It can even affect you at some point in your academic career. However, much like any other challenge, there are ways to overcome the problem with the right techniques and information on how to spot the block early. To showcase how writer's block can affect writers, I will define exactly what writer's block is and discuss symptoms or potential causes of it. I will then explain some techniques to overcome writer's block and ways to prevent it in the future. Lastly, I will provide some examples of how writer's block can affect writers, both professionally and in daily life, by discussing my own experience with writer's block, as well as showcase a cartoonist issue with writer's block. Writer's block can be defined as the inability to express your thoughts in the form of writing and has several identifiable causes. Firstly, it needs to be defined and identified before any solution can take place. According to Patricia Houston, who wrote in her medical journal Resolving Writer's Block, which was published in 1998, writer's block is generally considered to be a stress reaction that paralyzes the ability to put thoughts into words. Writer's block, in other words, describes the inability to express what you want to say in writing, which can be caused by a variety of factors internally or externally in your environment. The amount of people who suffer from writer's block regularly is unknown at this time, and there are only a few estimates currently available. What you're looking at is an estimate from Mike Rose's academic journal, Writer's Block: The Cognitive Dimension, published in 2009. He estimated that 10% of college students suffer frequently from writer's block. This estimate was carried out through his own personal survey of a small sample size of students, and showcases an example of how writer's block should be identified and forward research so we can see the true numbers of those it afflicts. A general consensus about the matter is you will eventually experience writer's block at least once in your life. Identifying the cause of writer's block is the first step towards overcoming the blockage. Writer's block caused by external issues is often small things such as a distracting environment to work in or some form of physical discomfort that can impede our ability to work. Often the solution for these is to improve our environment around us or to merely wait for a more opportune time to write. Given the varying circumstances of our individual lives, we do not get this luxury at times and must instead cope with the situation we have at hand. Writer's block can also stem from internal issues, which are the hardest to detect and work through for some. The trouble with this is the reliance on our own ability to self-identify and work past individual flaws, which might be stemming from a variety of issues. We are all different individuals with a unique background, and thus there isn't always a cure-all solution to a problem stemming from within, but work at some broad solutions can help you learn how to identify potential causes and tailor a response to answer them and overcome the block. Some common internal issues include the lack of interest in writing at the moment or overall, assuming your writing work won't be sufficient early on to meet your class's expectations, or the rubric, not understanding certain rules in writing for a class and thus working off a false assumption, and difficulty getting your idea across on paper when starting out and writing something. There are many methods to overcome writer's block that can work for both external and internal issues. External issues in writer's block seemingly have simple solutions, but in reality aren't always available for us, so we have to utilize more difficult techniques to overcome it. Physical discomfort, a distracting work environment, and other things that affect us when we are writing can usually be solved by changing the environment around us or waiting for a more opportune time when those external issues are no longer present. What if you are unable to change these issues? If you are in a position where you cannot change something in your environment that provides issues to writing, a good course of action would be to set smaller goals for yourself in writing line for frequent breaks. Setting smaller goals helps you work slowly towards the overall goal of whatever you are writing, and the breaks can allow you a chance to de-stress from whatever issue in your environment is impeding your writing quality. Adaptation and patience are crucial when dealing with external issues in situations when the simplest solution isn't applicable. A personal example of internal issues I faced in writing is in this very class. I had to utilize the computer in my house for my online courses in spring 2020 due to COVID-19. This is quite difficult as I had to take into consideration others in my household who needed to use the computer for schooling and for work-related purposes, as well as be mindful of those who have a working schedule as the computer is set up in the master bedroom of the house. From then to now, at this moment, I have to schedule my time in advance and plan out my work in order to accomplish what I need to do in the window I have to work on it, and this can sometimes mean having to work in a noisy environment or being pulled away from work to fulfill some errand. I utilize this technique as small goals personally so I can make sure when I'm in my window of class time I can accomplish the most work in that time frame. Internal issue in writer's block are more complicated and are far more challenging to overcome initially. Internal issues in writer's block can be difficult to overcome if we cannot successfully identify the cause of it. And this is the challenge, given it requires self-reflection, which you may not be well versed in. Writer's block always comes when it's unexpected and can plague you only once or multiple times in your life, which makes it even more challenging to overcome. Some common sources of writer blocks are from anxiety, high expectations placed upon ourselves, or a misunderstanding of the rules if it is a project we are working on. There are solutions to try in order to overcome these internal issues. If you have a feeling you are interested in the topic or are interested in writing at all, it is perfectly acceptable to tell yourself they simply don't want to write at the time and need a break to relax or brainstorm. Repeating positive ideas to yourself is also rather effective. Some things to remind yourself include that you are allowed to not get it right the first time, as that's why drafts exist, and that's okay to struggle with writer's block, as others have gone through what you're going through. On some occasions, you'll need to power through the writer's block by persevering and writing whatever you can until the blockage dissipates from your head. This can be aided by utilizing the small goals, so you can reassure yourself that you're making progress towards your writing goal. Writer's block is a common occurrence and can affect anyone from the professional to the inexperienced. To demonstrate how it can affect a novice writer, I will discuss my personal experience in writing both academically and personally. I am a hobbyist writer and always held a passion for writing since I was a child. I would take pencil and paper when I was really little and write out stories that were often directly based upon media I was exposed at the time. Quite literally, my first stories were bad fan fiction. When my home got access to a personal computer, I was writing with electronics typewriter in school. I found the time throughout the years to write every single day about whatever interests me. Stories both original and fan fiction of media I enjoyed were always written for my grade, middle, and high school years, although I never did publish any of it in any capacity, aside from printing out a few that I particularly enjoyed then and later grew to regret. While this may sound prolific, I was plagued with writer's block frequently and had to learn over the years how to overcome it. While I am in a better position to overcoming writer's block compared to my childhood, I still struggle with it now and again, but the techniques I've developed and discussed help me through it. In my school years prior to college, I've been told by several writing classmates and teachers that I showcased a talent for writing. I didn't buy into it, as I personally don't believe people can be pre-ordained in any skill. It comes from hard work developing it and overcoming the challenges of your chosen skill. College was very helpful by introducing me to the academic style of writing, gave me some hard lessons on what I had to change about my methods in order to succeed in an environment. I take much pride in my adaptation towards higher education, that the techniques I utilize are helping me do better and get to my goal of achieving an associate's degree. Writer's block can also affect those in the professional environment and has plagued countless individuals from various fields. Writer's block is not limited to just novice writers or students. It is a present problem in a variety of careers ranging from the scientific to the creative. In Patricia Houston's medical journal, Resolving Writer's Block, which was published in 1998, she says writer's block can present in subtle ways. There are so many demands on physicians that it's easy to think there is simply no time for writing. You might stare at the blank computer screen for 30 seconds and suddenly remember 16 other things you have to do. This shows that even writer's block isn't limited to students or novices, even when professional physicians can struggle with it from time to time. An example of a professional writer who struggled with writer's block is Bill Watterson, who is best known for his comic strip Calvin and Hobbes. Bill's early career prior to getting the strip was filled with rejections of earlier ideas. Some of these were due to lack of interest, but others rejected due to the experienced difficulties of opening up further ideas of the concept, which included writer's block. When he began Calvin and Hobbes, he was put into a work situation where he had to continuously generate new ideas and strips to write and draw, and this was rather taxing on his life. What you're looking at here are some comic strips he has drawn which touch upon the theme of writer's block. As a cartoonist, he has to create a lot of comics in order to meet his syndicate's demands. It showcases how he has not only overcome writer's block, but also found some humor within it to express to his readers. In conclusion, while writer's block can be a stressful obstacle to encounter during your time as a student, it is something that you can overcome with techniques that you were provided today, as well as any methods you develop personally over time. Writer's block is a common occurrence, has been experienced by countless people throughout the years. It isn't as scary as it may seem initially, but will come at you when you least expect it. However, now you'll be able to identify it much earlier and address the blockage with the information in the speech. Now when you want to get started on a writing project or get assigned some paper in class, you'll be much more likely to identify when writer's block is coming and overcome it. Writing, like any skill, takes a lot of patience and work to get better. So as you continue to go forward in your academic career, you'll begin to find that overcoming writer's block becomes easier and you'll be much more successful as a writer for doing so.